right, welcome back, everybody, to Can't Hurt Your Own Risk, episode 40. This is going to be part 7. Jesus, we're already up to part 7, where we discuss the first movie in the franchise that's not an actual part of the series, in that we're going to be talking about New Nightmare, or Wes Craven's New Nightmare, depending upon when you saw it originally. It came out in 1994, and it was a reimagining of the story of A Nightmare on Elm Street, and it was really probably one of the first really meta movies out there. I mean, I don't know if you guys can think about it, but I can't think of another movie, with the exception of like maybe some Mel Brooks shit, that really referenced, a crossover between Hollywood, or what happened within a movie and the actual Hollywood itself at the same time.
I mean, as we've talked about this a lot, but I mean, Scream just doesn't happen without this movie.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and you can see it because it was, I don't think he did anything between this and that, because you got 94 and 96.
That would make sense, because working on Scream probably took some time, I would think.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, no directing or no writing credits. Oh, I guess nope. He did Vampire in Brooklyn in between. Okay. Well, I mean that. That's one that we brought up. I really like that as a vampire movie too. So, I guess this kind of turns the idea of Freddy, on its head by kind of making him like almost like a tulpa, or maybe like one of the a cryptid, or like a creepypasta. The idea that there's a demon of fear who enjoyed the amount of fear that Freddy Krueger in A Nightmare on Elm Street generated, that he takes on Freddy's appearance and powers and begins to haunt people in the real world, using, Freddy's appearance and powers. So instead of having Nancy and, I forgot what the hell her dad's name was,
Don.
Don in the movies, you have, Heather Langenkamp and John Saxon and Wes Craven and Robert Shaye as they're playing themselves within the movie. Overall, I really like this one a lot. There's problems. Dylan fucking sucks. I mean, you can't get around it. Like, I get where they were going with what they tried to do with the kid. I think he did a much better job a couple years later in Mercury Rising with Bruce Willis playing an autistic child. But, for being as cute as he is, he's fucking annoying in this one. That being said, like Kent and I were just talking about the babysitter in between our breaks for doing this podcast. And I think that the recreation of what was their names in the first one? Who was the first lady who died in the first one? Tina. They basically do a recreation of her death with Julie in this one, and I think it's much better done than it is in the reboot. I don't know. Again, this is one that Kent and I have already talked about. Kent, I think you said you wanted to say something about the funeral? Yes.
I'm so glad you asked. As I'm tearing through my drawers trying to find the 3D glasses. So, it's funny, when Heather's husband, Chase, dies, there's the funeral scene. And in the funeral scene, I'm pretty sure you have Wes, I think Wes's wife, but I don't think it's his real wife, the guy who played Rod Lane, and then fucking Tuesday night, the Kristen number 2. And why is this important, you may ask? Because Heather was never in a movie with Tuesday Night. Heather was in a movie with Kristen #1, Patricia Arquette, but never did anything with Tuesday Night. So why the fuck was Tuesday Night at this funeral?
You know what? It just occurred to me. They did the convention scene together. You know, signing autographs and doing all that shit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Check out the big...
Well, I mean, the easy answer is they couldn't get Patricia Arquette.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's...
Damn it, Kevin.
That's really what happened. I mean... but to also circle back to the beginning of this podcast, however many hours ago, we also get another Lin Shaye appearance in this one. Only instead of being the teacher, now she's the nurse giving our little Dylan his pills and chucking him on the shoulder and telling him he's a good boy. Is she married to Robert?
That's his sister.
Sister, okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense of why she had so much success, because, I mean, besides being a great actress, but, like, having your brother be the head of the fucking cinema, I mean, because it opens a lot of doors for you.
We didn't even give Robert Shaye his due props for Nightmare 5 when he was the teacher for 30 seconds.
Yes, we did not.
Or any of the other ones.
I didn't recognize him until, I saw him in this one, and then I was like, oh, shit, yeah. They redesigned Freddy's look a little bit in this one, and what did you guys think about the change?
It was, I mean, I feel like they all kind of had different looks to them. This one had a much different look. Up into it. Yeah, I guess it was okay. I mean, after seeing the documentary, they were trying to give a different look to it because this is the real Freddy Krueger, not the Robert Englund playing Freddy Krueger. If any of this makes sense, because this movie is so fucking meta.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying there.
Yeah.
People might not understand what we're saying, but I do understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it was cool. I get it. They got to keep recreating it. They got to do something different, and Wes Craven had to do his, own thing again, and that's probably why the movie set up the way it is.
I mean, I think the actual makeup looks a little worse. Like, there were scenes in the earlier ones where he looked still, like, wet and fleshy, if you know what I mean. Like, you could expect, like, blood or something to come pouring out if you, like, fingered his face. This one, it just kind of looks like makeup. But I did like the remake on the claws. I thought that looked a little more interesting. And the coat kind of broke up the silhouette a little bit, I think. Made it look a little bit better. I don't know.
What did you think about them using something as simplistic as Hansel and Gretel? Like,
I remember.
I mean, did it work for you?
I remember thinking this the last time I watched it, and thinking this again. I'm like, holy shit! The number of sleeping pills she took. Is she gonna fucking OD before she gets to her son?
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it worked. I feel like it might have been pretty easy to finally, get rid of him comparatively. I mean, if you're talking about an actual demon in the real world compared to, whatever Freddy is in the movies, I mean, and the resolution seemed a little to wrap up easy. I mean, I guess, I don't know how else you can say it, but, I enjoyed it. It's not the strongest one, but I feel it's up in the top half.
Like, it worked in its simplicity, which I think was good to get a general audience. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't have to go that deep in the lore or canon of the series for people to just tune in, like, well, I know who Freddy Krueger is, but I don't necessarily know all the rules to Freddy Krueger. And you didn't need to.
Yeah.
But everybody knows Hansel and Gretel.
They could rewrite it. You know, they didn't.
Yeah.
They could take what they needed from the canon and ignore what they didn't want. Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. I mean, that helps appeal to, you know, everybody. And one of the things I was thinking as I was going through the movie was like, holy shit, if this shit was going on, Heather Langenkamp would have so many lawsuits against this hospital when it's done.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like fucking giving her son a shot without fucking permission.
Yeah, like everything in the hospital was just like, I think that was the biggest struggle that Heather had in the whole movie, was dealing with the fucking people at the hospital.
I'm like the security guards are fucking putting their hands on her and telling her she can't leave. I'm like, that right there is fucking felony kidnapping.
Yeah, or like see her son, like after the surgery, right? There's that very like omen feeling surgery.
Yeah. She leaves and he's fine. She comes back, he's in a fucking oxygen tent. Like, what the fuck is going on in this place?
That's a weird ass hospital.
But then again, I mean, she didn't know that Freddy was involved or whatever was trying to channel the essence of Freddy.
Right, because it's a real world movie.
Yeah.
God, that's
excuse me.
Messes my head a little bit.
Yeah, it was definitely very meta.
Did we discuss Miko Hughes at all? I don't.
Well, I did.
Chris trashed him pretty good.
I mean, Chris, why are you trashing Gage?
Gage from
Pet Sematary.
Oh, yeah, you know what? I liked him even less than that. Let's not even go there.
What about Kindergarten Cop?
He was okay in Kindergarten Cop. He was actually pretty funny in that one scene. I said, he did a good job in Mercury Rising.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you were probably discussing him as I was rampantly trying to find the glasses, so I wasn't sure.
Yes, I think that was exactly what happened.
Any opportunity I get to mention Gage, I am going to take, so that was my opportunity. I took it, and now I feel better about pretty much everything.
Well, I do see he's got something in post-production right now called Dylan's New Nightmare, an Elm Street fan film.
Yeah, that's out on YouTube.
How many freaking...
Oh, is it?
Like,
YouTube.
There's so much, like, offshoot stuff of Nightmare on Elm Street now. It's crazy.
I have not.
I haven't seen it.
Gosh, I don't even know who I was just looking up. And there was just a series of them, though.
Miko? What are you looking up?
No, I was looking up something when I was watching, I want to say Freddy vs. Jason, so at some point I'll find what I'm looking for. Maybe. Probably not.
But, shit, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have too much to add. Again, this is super fucking meta. Oh, yeah. You know what? I don't normally have a thing for pantyhose, but Heather Langenkamp looked really good in the beginning when she's walking around in her pantyhose. So.
Yeah. She aged well.
You know what? In part one, I wasn't attracted to that. I mean, she looks too young. You know, there are definitely certain high school movies where the people look older. She looked like a fucking young teenager. She still looked young in part 3, but in this, like, she matured. I was like, damn. I was like, I don't care if you can't act. If I had dreams, you might be in them, but probably more likely Freddy would be.
Now, was it Robert Englund that was painting the picture of Freddy in this one?
Yeah.
Yep.
I liked that little bit, and I know I've mentioned this to Chris at the very least in past podcasts, but when this came out, there was also a book. I bought it at Price Chopper, and it was just such a cool little book, and to find it now, it's like $105 on eBay, so not going to do it. But what was neat is as you're reading it, the author has these little bits in between chapters about how Freddy's entering his world as well. It's just like a neat little companion book idea that would be worth maybe $10 at most, not $105, unfortunately.
I like the fact that, like, when all this shit goes down, everybody else is hanging around, and Robert Englund's like, fuck this, I'm out of here. I know how Freddy works. And he's just like, peace, bitches.
He knows best, yeah.
Yeah. That Freddy painting was sick, and I actually looked up Linda Newman was the artist on it, and she did work on Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and Fight Club, where she was the painter of the paintings. Like Helena Bonham Carter, I think, was painting in Fight Club or something. And that picture sold on an auction site in 2019, 17, not like super long ago. I didn't sign into it, so I couldn't find out how much that actual painting sold for, the screen used one, but I don't know, I thought that was interesting.
Yes. This movie's really... When you think about it, I don't know, like, I think it's really loved, but I don't think it gets talked about like the others do.
I think people forget about it.
Well, it came at right when horror was dying.
It didn't have a number in the title to connect it to the other ones.
Yeah. It didn't have Elm Street in the title either.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, if you look up A Nightmare on Elm Street, this one doesn't pop up whenever you're searching for it.
Yeah, it's not in the series either.
It didn't do as well at the box office. It's actually probably the weakest one out of all of them.
Yeah, it's $8 million on an $18 million budget, so it did real bad.
Wow, that's on.
Other way around, but still, that's pretty bad. $8 million budget and $18 million.
Oh, was it?
That doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't. I mean, that still doesn't make up its marketing costs.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But I mean, overall, it's pretty well written. I mean, Heather Langenkamp definitely had some acting lessons between one and this. None of the other people really detract. Dylan goes over the top for some of the shit, but then, every once in a while he gives a really good fucking line reading, like when he's like, Julie, right behind you. That's actually a good scene from his point of view. Most of the special effects hold up, although the scene on the highway does not.
No.
Yeah, that one is bad. It's too crazy. Like with the Freddy claw where he picks Dylan up, and that's where it kind of like I'm with it. You can tell that it's like whatever, like green screened, but when the glove picks Dylan up, that's when you're like, okay, I can't, suspend disbelief anymore.
Not only that, I don't care what fucking freeway you're on, but you see somebody running across the freeway, people are going to start slowing down, and when you see people in front of you slowing down, you're going to slow down. It's not going to be like somebody's running across the freeway and everybody's just going to keep, let's fucking do 90 towards this bitch.
Right. Now, did any of you guys see this in the theater or no?
94.
I still hadn't...
I don't know, like my dad would have had to go and see it first, and he didn't go see it in the theater either. It was like the same year that like Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction came out. Like there was like, there was like a lot of really good movies. I remember this is kind of like the turning point of watching movies for me, and I liked Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Like we all, like my friends watched it, I was in 7th, 8th grade at the time. So we liked it, but it was way too ahead of its time for me to, be like, but I would watch it, or at least the beginning part, a lot, because it was on TV a lot, and those ones would play over and over again, like the newer ones, that and 6.
Right. See, this Freddy's Dead actually started my streak of seeing. Like, I saw every other one in the theater since Freddy's Dead. So I've seen 4 of them now in the theater. Kind of hit or miss, quite frankly. So 2 hits, 2 misses, I would say, for me.
I really feel that 1998 was when I really started going to see horror in the theater. So, no, this one I wouldn't have... I didn't catch this one until... I didn't even watch it back in the day until we did the blog. Okay.
Yeah, dude, that seems so freaking long ago, and it probably was at least 5 years ago.
Well, we started doing the podcast in, 2017 when Game of Thrones was on?
That sounds about right.
And I think we were doing the blog for at least a year or 2 before that.
Yeah. Gosh. You're old.
Yeah, I fucking am, man. I got a fucking 19-year-old nephew. Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'll do it. All right. Well, do we have anything else we really need to add, or can we get to something new and exciting?
So the one part that I really liked about this movie, and it really confused the hell out of me when I saw it the first time, is, and I really appreciate it now, is when it goes back to Heather is now Nancy and not Heather anymore, and that scene with John Saxon where she's like, John, he's like, why are you calling me John? And she's like, why are you calling me Nancy? Like, just that weird turn of like what was going on, that they are now back into the first movie. That was, I don't know. I remember seeing that the first time and just being like, what the hell is going on? And then you can see the gray strip in her hair. I put it together a lot easier this time. But I mean, I wasn't watching those movies. Like, I didn't watch the first one to watch Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Like, it was just on and you just catch up with it.
What was up with their desire to always add, like, gray to Nancy's hair? Because they did it the original.
I don't know.
It's just a weird thing.
Well, I thought it was stress, right?
Yeah.
To add stress. Yeah. So...
I always feel they...
Outside of that, I don't
know.
I
don't know.
But it made it work for this scene that they didn't, of a movie they never planned on making.
Right, yeah.
But it worked for that. And the only other thing about it was, the opening scene with the tech assistants and the glove, and then like they get killed with the glove, and then it cuts to Heather Langenkamp waking up because it was her dream or whatever. And then later on, like she sees like the news where it reports that those people died. And I just thought it was like super strange that you open the scene and you're like, oh my God, they died. And you're like, oh no, they didn't. And that was always kind of like, just put me in like a disarming mood. Like, I felt cheated. Like, yeah, you see death, but they're not really dead in the movie. And then it turns out later on that they did die, and you get these little like 2-second clips of it. I feel like I was like cheated 2 more deaths in that section of the film. But
I have a question.
I don't know. Did you guys
I don't know if it's kind of to go along with what you're saying, but like, did it feel at all weird that you didn't really get the house in this one? Like, did it feel weird not to have the house?
But you do get the house.
But then you get that, but like
the part that
just the front of it,
that Kevin
right?
was talking about when she transitions to actually being Nancy from being Heather Langenkamp. When she goes to go back into the house, it's the house.
Oh yeah, okay. Pardon me. This is the one movie I didn't get to this week. So
you know what, Kent? We've been talking for what, almost 4 hours now. Dude, my mind's going numb too. It's no problem.
Yeah.
An hour.
Fair enough. All right. I retract my question.
All right, guys. We will be back in just a minute then for our take on Freddy vs. Jason from 2003.